You know, we often say anything can happen in racing, but we're just making that up. That's not true. That's not real. Often the thing that you expect to happen is what happens all the time. Except on nights like this, at the World Center of Racing at Daytona. Indeed, when we say anyone can win, anything can happen, that's exactly how it went down as Justin Brayton wins his first ever main event in any class. And these videos are brought to you by the good folks at Troy Lee Designs. This was it. He got it done. And then suddenly the history books look crazy different. Not only Brayton's first win, he becomes the oldest Supercross winner ever. It's also the first win for his team, Smart Top, Bullfrog Spas, Moto Concepts, Honda, and they've been at this 10 years. They are a factory-supported team, but they are not a full works factory team. So what that means is a big breakthrough in so many levels. Heck, it was even the first win in the premier class for his veteran mechanic, Tony Berluti. How can you count the ways that this win was unpredictable? I talked to Brayton, as I do a lot, yesterday afternoon, and he mentioned that Daytona is really not his track. He's more of an indoor guy than an outdoor guy, so the most motocross-like track on the Supercross circuit is not one he ever thought he would get his first victory in, which just made this thing seem even more significant and harder to predict. But Brayton is nearly 34 years old. He is a veteran, and that's exactly how he rode. Other riders were up and down. They were faster. Eli Tomac was unbelievable. He came from last place to nearly win the thing. He just ran out of time. But Brayton managed it really well. Marvin Musquin got around him, thinking Marvin might be able to pull away from there, but Brayton stayed close, and then Marvin crashed. Brayton took the lead. And even though it was the first time he was ever trying to win a main event, I know he got that one last week in Atlanta, it's still different when you're winning a real main event that's going to count in the record books, and by the way, is going to take over 20 minutes to hold on to. You would figure maybe there were some gremlins, maybe he was going to be hearing things, thinking about things, feeling the pressure. But no, he didn't make mistakes. He just rode his laps. Late in the race, Tomac was coming, and if you did the math, Tomac was going a second and a half or two seconds faster, and they were 2 laps left, and he was 4 seconds down. You add all that together, and Tomac was going to have a chance of catching him. But Brayton logged one more heater. He got back into the 1:13 lap time range late in the race. Kind of stalled Tomac's progress, and that was all it took. He ended up winning by 4 seconds, and it was just emotional all around. I don't know if Brayton would ever say this, but I would wonder if he was starting to think that the window was going to close for him to ever get that first win. But I know the team behind him, they weren't letting him think that way. They were really, really positive. And with Tony Alessi, yes, that Tony Alessi, who's now become a very highly respected team manager in the pits, they tell him, look, if it's a track that's not yours, if you take 8th, if you take 9th, that's okay. But on the nights when you are feeling it, those are the nights to go for it. I don't think anyone expected that Daytona would be one of those tracks, but it was. And Brayton is just another name adding to what has been a wild 2018 championship. For example, it was a tough night for your series points leader, Jason Anderson. He bumped into the back of his old buddy Vince Friese early on. That was Anderson, not Friese. Friese wasn't causing that, I don't think. You never know with these guys, and he had to come from way back and lost some points. But then Marvin Musquin was the one that could have taken advantage, and he crashed too. And at one point we had Musquin, Tomac, Anderson battling for 9th place. Tomac's charge was unbelievable. He was the fastest guy. He just couldn't quite get it done. And Cooper Webb finished up in 3rd. First podium of the year for him. I think he was a little bummed because at one point he could almost see Brayton there, and maybe the door was open to get his first ever 450 win, but he couldn't close it, and Tomac was eventually able to get him. And yes, there was a little drama in the heat race, by the way, between Tomac and Webb. Tomac says Webb was cross-jumping him. Tomac wasn't happy, and he said, hey, I took him out. Welcome to the 450 class. When they met up in the main event, they were a lot nicer. Tomac was doing everything he could to get to the front. The crowd was going nuts, man, between seeing the 33-year-old non-factory guy trying to win his first race or a dude coming from last to first. They were just cheering all of it, and it was loud and it was exciting, and that helped power those guys down the stretch. But ultimately, Brayton got it done to prove that, yes, when we say that anything can happen and anyone can win, I guess every once in a while we made it. Congrats to Justin Brayton. He's in the record books for a variety of ways tonight.